Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Good morning and welcome back to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your host, Rob and
Randy.
And we are
The
Happy Healthy Guys. So happy Tuesday, the day after totality. So I'm assuming that most people on the planet know what it is that happened yesterday, where we had the eclipse, the total eclipse, which was unbelievable. We were watching it with the Happy Healthy team, at least part of the Happy Healthy team, which was really incredible. We'll talk a little bit more about that here in a few minutes. Thank you guys also for submitting your questions. We had a lot of questions regarding the last episode that went out where we were talking about the importance of short chain fatty acids. We talked about butyrate. We talked about the gut-brain axis. A lot of people were asking about that and how the gut-brain axis affects their overall health. We're going to talk more about that. We're going to talk about how to actually make sure that you are healing that gut-brain axis. I think right now, more than ever before, you hear about more people who have things like Crohn's or ulcerative colitis or just gut health issues. And it really affects a lot more than I think that you even think it does. So we're going to talk about that, continue along those lines. We're going to talk about how it affects your metabolism, how to make sure that your gut is healthy so that your body is metabolizing what it is that comes into your body the right way. You have plenty of energy, you're burning calories, more calories from fat than you are from carbohydrates. We're going to talk about all the things. What do you think?
Wow, that's a lot to unpack, man. How long do we have today?
We're going to talk for about the next 5 hours about this. It seems like we probably could talk that long about it.
We could. No, I like the topic today. It is it's kind of a sequel to from last week. So if you haven't listened to last week's, it dropped. I believe it dropped today. So go back and listen to last episode as we kind of set the table for the second or the sequel to that original SCT oil gut health episode. But we'll dive in with this for sure because I think it's really something, and we talked about it last week. We've been talking about the importance of these short chain fats for a very long time now, really since I got back from Spain. Back in, I came back the first time end of 2010, went back in early 2011. In fact, I'll be back there here in a few weeks, actually, to go see Dr. Helu and spend some time there in Puerto Banús and Marbella, where my life changed dramatically. But no, that was the first time it really got on my radar. Although I've been talking about, we both have been talking about eating real food nutrition and healthy fats. Somehow this key component, we just never really had put the pieces together on until now. I'm out there in Spain, my body's breaking down, I'm inflamed, my immune system's weak. And he's like, yeah, you're deficient in these key fats. So it was pretty eye-opening.
Yeah, so let's talk about this gut-brain axis and the importance of it. And if you don't understand or know what it is, we're talking about the brain and we're talking about the gut. And so I know from back in our chiropractic days, we always talked about the importance of the brain because the brain controls everything, right? There's not anything in the body that is not controlled as far as its function by the brain. So it helps to be able to control every single cell, tissue, organ function inside the entire body. So it is extremely important when you're looking at the nervous system, which is why as chiropractors, what we wanted to do is we wanted to find out, hey, is there any interference or anything interfering with the brain's ability to communicate with the rest of the body? Because if there's interference with that communication, it would literally be like unplugging your refrigerator from the wall. Well, what's going to happen to every single thing inside that refrigerator?
It's going to rot, go bad, and no longer be viable.
Right. So did the bad food or the bacteria inside your refrigerator cause everything to go bad?
No, it's like anything. It's like, hey, if you unplug your computer, that computer's not very smart. It has to have a power source. We always say you live your life through your nerve system. So yeah, if you we're coming from over 25 years of clinical experience in the holistic world, in the chiropractic world. I remember I used to have one of my educational things I would do with my patients, I think you had one too, was one of those neuropatholators.
Yeah.
And basically it showed you the entire autonomic nervous system and where the brain and all the nerves would leave and what organ systems they would go to. And I would use that to not only teach adults, but I found the best way to teach adults is how you teach a child. So you light up the board, you'd hit the button on the nerve or the spinal column, the nerve would light up and go to the organ systems. Kids loved it. And apparently I was able to help teach adults a little bit about that as well. But it was powerful because if you just cut a nerve going to whatever organ, let's say I cut the nerve going to your heart, well, what's going to happen to your heart?
It's going to stop.
It's going to stop because the heart is not intelligent. The heart only does what the brain tells it to do. Say by the same regard, if you took that nerve and not cut it, let's just say you've been to put pressure on it or squeeze it or tie like a zip tie around it. And now it didn't get cut off completely, but now you're diminishing that signal to the organ. So now the organ begins to malfunction. It doesn't begin to adapt and it starts to become diseased. So it's really, really simple when you talk about how important the nervous system is and how the gut works directly with that and why these short chain fats, they do play a pivotal role. In fact, I wouldn't even probably, if I was going to go back into practice chiropractically, I may not even take on a client or a patient unless they were willing to start going through a metabolic healing process because of the impact it has on our body. You know, that was the way we really started bringing in Happy Healthy was through our clinics and all the patients there who were inflamed and overweight and needed to heal their metabolic profile. And now the chiropractic care, the neurological integrity, their speed of recovery and their overall abundant health outcomes were just magnified tremendously.
Yeah, and I think even back then, just because of we would see miracles happen every single day within our chiropractic practices without even doing what it is that we're talking about with Happy Healthy. Like we would have people come in that weren't able to, women that weren't able to have babies, they couldn't get pregnant, and we'd adjust them, making sure that that connection was happening between the brain and the rest of the body. And the next thing you know, that they're naming their newborn baby after you because they were so excited about the fact that they were able to get pregnant. But what I always tell them, because then they would want to tell all their friends and family members, hey, Dr. Rob got me pregnant. I'm like, let's not say it that way. Let's just say that he adjusted my spine, allowed the nerves to be able to get to that area. And then as a result, my husband and I were able to conceive a child.
That was the running joke that we were getting a lot of women pregnant in town. And it's like, no, it's not what you think.
It doesn't happen like that. But, and I say that to say this is because it seems like we're talking about, this is, gosh, like 20, going on 25 years ago, is that with every year that would go by, it seemed like these miracles that we were seeing were getting harder and harder to get to that point where we'd be adjusting them like crazy, clearing these nerve pathways, and the next thing you know, they'd be that nerve would be blocked again. And we're like, what in the world is going on? And now when we look back on it, it's really obvious because now that there's so many more environmental toxins, so many more stresses. You have the EMF with the phone that is in front of everybody all of the time. You've got people busier than ever before. There's just so many extra external stresses that we didn't have before, where it became, like you just said, that once we started employing and putting these practices into the office, first for ourselves and then our patients in the office, no, I wouldn't go back and practice chiropractic without having this as a foundation, because now what we started seeing in practices, those miracles like we had seen before, were back. Right. Back and more than ever before.
The patients were able to adapt better. They're holding an adjustment better. They're not so fragile that a couple of mistakes are going to put you in bed for a week. So it really is. We are in a climate now where we're just bombarded with so many insults and things we're just not adapting to very well. We talk about the spark is only as dangerous or I guess as effective as the access it has to the tinder. So you want to be less flammable. And one of the best ways to be less flammable is to have neurological integrity and having a strong gut-brain axis. So how do we tie this in? And not, by the way, if you're not under regular chiropractic care, I would start there too.
Absolutely.
We still get adjusted every week. It's a big part of who we are and what we do. And, whatever you don't take care of doesn't maintain itself. So don't wait to be in a problem or have pain or end up with some type of neurological condition or organ issue before you start clearing your nervous system, or at least having it checked consistently. So I would start there. But then what can we do to now help support that as we're talking about these short chain fats and things we didn't have access to, 10 plus years ago?
Yeah, I think where we started is understanding that when it does come to the gut, so the gut, there's more energy that's used by the brain for gut function than any other organ system in the entire body. So we have to look at that, and when we look at that, we can also see that the neurotransmitters that are linked directly down to the stomach are also neurotransmitters that are linked to everything inside the body. So, and everything that goes into our body then has to pass through the system as well. So it's very important. So there's got to be a direct link between the two, which is why you're now seeing people who have gut health problems. And we talked about this last week, is because of where it actually goes up in the brain and the prefrontal cortex, where that link is that there's more now anxiety and depression being diagnosed with people who have gut issues. They're directly linked. So I think because we can be able to see that, then we have to ask ourselves, okay, what is the health of the gut? What's going on with the gut? What's going on with the microbiome in the gut, both prebiotically speaking and postbiotically speaking? Because if this right here has direct access to the brain that controls everything inside the body, then I better make sure it's healthy. So we have to create a really good baseline and balance, because let's face it, your body has to be in this ultimate state of balance, right? This, what we call homeostasis. And we were talking about this earlier as we were talking about even the eclipse yesterday. And it's kind of what got my mind thinking about this today, is that when we were sitting there with this eclipse, it was really interesting because you have the entire planet is all paying attention to this one thing that's happening. And once it happened, and we had that 4 minutes of the eclipse, it's like everything stopped. I don't know if y'all felt it who are listening, but I know I felt it, where it was like, there was just like this sense of peace, serenity, calmness. It was like for those 4 minutes, everybody on the planet was united for this one thing. It's interesting because God did create the heavens, the earth, the moon, the sun, created everything. And it was almost like God said, hey, you know what? For 4 minutes, I'm going to show you that we can all be united for only 4 minutes. And it was just like this complete sense of love, serenity, peace, all of those things. And so I think that's a macrocosm of really the way God created our bodies on the inside, where he wanted to make sure that everything on the inside of the body is at peace and at homeostasis. And if there's an issue with the gut, there's no possible way for the rest of your body to have health and healing, because something is out of alignment. So it's kind of like that out of alignment being the sun not being in alignment with the moon. But as soon as there was direct alignment, everything was back in that sense of love and peace.
Yeah, and speaking of out of alignment, chiropractically speaking, sometimes it's not just your spinal column being misaligned. It's misalignments between your ears. It's misalignments with toxins and traumas and things that we don't adapt to. Like even when you're really stressed out and you've got that anxiety, they say that you feel it in your gut.
Yeah.
That is because your gut really is that second brain, a huge part of your immune system. And that's why it's so intimately connected with the nervous system.
Yeah, it's your intuition.
It is.
It's your intuition. It's why you're like, you'd be at
my gut.
Yeah, you ever thought about this? Like you're at the grocery store, and let's say you're at Whole Foods and you're looking at that piece of meat, for example, and you pick, you're like, I want the third one. It's like, that's my intuition. It's my gut picking that, right? And who knows? And you're like, nah, I'm just gonna pick the first one. Next thing you know, you got food poisoning. You're like, oh man, I should have gone with my gut intuition. But there's a direct link there. That's a real thing.
No, and I listen to my gut a lot. Even when I eat food, that is my ultimate litmus test, is when I eat, how does my gut feel as I'm eating it and after I eat it? Do I feel good? Do I feel energized? Or do I feel bloated? Do I feel sluggish? Am I getting maybe a little bit of a headache? I'm really listening to my gut, and that's really been powerful because as I've been going through over many, many years now, tweaking and evolving how I feed on my body and really getting back ancestrally to what we should be eating. It's so cool now. I know that you're not supposed to feel bad when you eat really nutrient dense, bioavailable food and you support your body with the right fats, specifically these short fats that we're talking about. That right there is the ultimate test. Your gut really is that second brain.
It really absolutely is, which is why as we talk, okay, so things that can disrupt us. Let's talk about some of the obvious things. The obvious things being things like environmental toxins, okay? Environmental toxins go into the body. They literally will wreck the gut. And we're not talking about just like the chemicals and pesticides and those things. We're talking about even like all of the stuff that's in the drinking water, whether it be like people dumping all of their prescription medications down the toilet and somehow making its way back into our drinking water, those types of things. And even the things that they're actually properly, I say properly, improperly prescribed, however it is that you would want to say that, the drugs that they're taking from the doctor are completely destroying that and then not doing anything to heal that. So what that does is then that puts your gut into a state of stress, which creates inflammation. Once you inflame the gut, the next thing you know, now you've got the Crohn's, the leaky gut, all of the things, because now things are leaking through that gut mucosa because you've stripped away the protective barrier from it.
Yeah, drugs are a primary offender of the gut. I mean, heck, just we already know. I mean, if you've ever had any rounds of antibiotics, which if you just break the word down, anti is against, biotic is life. If you're against life, I don't know that I'm on the same side of the team as you're on with that. Yeah, I don't want to be against life. So antibiotics are against life. They destroy. It's like throwing a grenade into a room full of rats. I mean, everything's wiped out. Everything is dead. And so now what have you created in your gut, along with all the other problems that you're going to get from using antibiotics and the hyperactivation of your adrenals and all the stress hormones? But, it's not just antibiotics. It's really any and all drugs, especially these, a lot of people pop these antacids like Tums and they think they're harmless, destroying the acidity of your gut. Remember, your gut, it's very acidic. It needs to be around 2.0 on the pH scale. That's more acidic than battery acid and chemotherapy, which are obviously very acidic. So you're talking about getting to 2.0 in the stomach pH. You're taking these antacids, you're destroying your stomach acid, which is why now we have this outbreak of SIBO. Everybody's got small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. They've got all these issues. You can't even absorb calcium in a non-acidic environment. And now everybody's on these proton pump inhibitors, these acid reflux drugs, because your stomach has to get to at least 2.0 on the pH scale to tell your brain, that gut-brain axis, to close off your esophageal sphincter so the acid can't come up. So you don't have too much acid, you don't have enough acid, and you damage your gut-brain axis. People don't know this stuff, and they pop these pills and these drugs and these chemicals without even thinking about it. And then, like you talked about, all these pesticides like chlormequat and paraquat and glyphosate, they're spraying on everything, destroys your gut lining. It's bad news, guys. So there's so many chemicals, some that you know about, some that you don't. At this point, don't freak out about the stuff you don't know about. Focus on what you do know about and avoiding those type foods. It's even like, have you seen the video circulating around social media where they're showing, you go to the fresh produce area and then you'll hear like the thunder and then it'll start like raining on the produce. And you think, oh, this is really cool. They're raining down water to keep everything fresh. And guess what's in that rain? If you look up, you'll see a big jug. It's a chlorine-based chemical that they're spraying down onto the vegetation, the vegetables, the fruits, usually the vegetables, to make them last longer. So we're eating this stuff and not even knowing it. At least you know now. Make sure you rinse and wash everything and make sure that you're avoiding any and all pesticides and chemicals. But that type of stuff right there, it's going to build, it's going to build, it's going to build.
That's why, as you say that, we got to get people out of the thinking of the food that you're eating being about a diet.
Right.
Because when it's about a diet, it becomes about a calorie. When it's about a calorie, what you do is you completely eliminate the thought process of going, what is the nutritional value of what it is that I'm putting into my body? And what I mean by nutritional value, how is this going to help my body to heal on the inside? Right? Because one of the things that we also talk about that has to flow through the gut is everything that comes into the body. We have to make sure that we're getting the right nutrients to the cell. Then we got to get the right nutrients inside the cell. We got to get the right nutrients inside the cell because that right there is where the healing happens. That's where energy is produced. That's where the ATP is produced. That's where metabolism is happening inside the body. So with an unhealthy gut, it's impossible for metabolism to happen because not only is there a direct link to the brain, you've got a direct link to your immune system, which is what protects you against sickness and disease, all of these different things. You've got that's the same thing that controls your hormone balance inside your body, which is why I think it's so important that with the program that we created that our clients go through, it already has a built-in detoxification system to be able to get people. If people are asking, what do I do? Well, here's the first thing that I would do is figure out, okay, what's going on with, what are your metabolic needs? Find out what's going on with your metabolism. You go to the metabolismscore.com, you can find out, hey, do I have a metabolism issue? Because I guarantee you that if you've got a metabolism issue, your gut's not healthy.
No way.
So go there first. And then if there's something going on, then we can help you. But that's why our program, the first thing that we got to do is we got to start detoxing the body because we're not going to get your gut healthy until we can remove the toxins that are making you sick and not functioning the right way to begin with. So that's where I would say you would start.
Yeah, and that's a huge point you just made because this is a mistake the medical community makes. Even the diet industry, a lot of these influencer people I'm seeing all over social media talking about your hormones, yet doing nothing to correct the foundation of why your hormones are off. So when we talk hormones, your mind goes to sex hormones, testosterone, estrogen, pregnenolone, estradiol. But nobody's talking about the real hormones, which balance those hormones, which are your metabolic hormones, insulin, glucagon, leptin, cortisol, adrenaline, adiponectin. There's a ton of those hormones, and if you don't balance your metabolic profile, you'll never balance your sex hormones, which is why it's ridiculous for doctors to be giving you these hormones because they're telling you you're going to be on these for the rest of your life. And that's only true if you keep taking their stupid advice and following what they're telling you to do. But that just goes to show right there, we know all drugs don't work. They all treat the symptoms. They band-aid everything. They make you sick. And they clearly don't fix the problem because if they did, you wouldn't be going to get that prescription refilled. You got to keep refilling it and refilling it and refilling it because you're addicted to it because nothing is getting to the cause. Another reason to get out of the system. But that's a big point. So if you're listening and you've got hormonal issues, your hormones are out of balance, I'm telling you right now, you don't have a sex hormone issue. You have a metabolic hormone issue, and you'll never fix it by taking hormones.
Hey, I got to get back to that baseline. I heard something yesterday on the radio, and I hadn't listened to the radio in forever, but somehow I don't know why my car stereo was on the radio.
Okay.
And I hear this commercial, and it's a commercial for a weight loss company here in the area. I hadn't even told you this yet.
No, I don't.
So it's this they're talking about it, and they're going through all the things about this weight loss program, and then towards the end of the commercial, it says, yeah, and for a monthly fee of whatever the cost was for this weight loss program, we'll also then throw in our GLP-1
of course
program so that they can also then do the weight loss program in conjunction with the Ozempic or Wegovy or any of these things. I'm like, oh my God. So the same things that are causing the problem in the first place, like Sharon just said, it's Band-Aids. You're now covering up the symptoms, creating more havoc inside the body, more havoc on the gut, destroying the body, doing the exact opposite of it because you're treating a symptom and not getting to the cause of the problem. So one thing that you'll probably hear about us is this: if you're somebody who has been stuck with trying to lose weight, or maybe you do have a gut health issue and you're like, what in the world is going on? I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels around in circle. There's got to be a better way to confirm your suspicion. Absolutely, there is a better way. You got to get to the cause of the problem. It's not going to be about diet programs, exercise programs, more drugs, more chemicals, more of treating the symptoms. It's not going to be that. That's the exact reason why you're staying stuck. And so we worked with thousands and thousands of people to get them unstuck with a way that's holistic, it's natural, and it's getting to the cause of the problem, not treating the symptoms.
So what about the person then that's going, yeah, I hear everything you're saying, but really, isn't this all just a real big genetic issue? What would you say to that? Because they're really ramping up that message more and more now. If you've noticed that, they're literally blaming it on our genetic profile, which, by the way, there's nothing you can do about your genetics.
I'd say, okay, go actually really research it. And they're not actually going to do that. But if you do, it can be a tendency genetically, 1 to 2% of the time, maybe. However, when you then also dive even deeper, which we have, and you start studying the science of epigenetics, what they're showing is that you can overcome even a genetic tendency. And the reason we've been able to help thousands and thousands of people is because we're not picking genetically superior people to go through the program. All we're doing is getting to the cause. Here's what I'd say to that person is, you've been believing a lie. And the lie is that you are broken. The lie is that there is something wrong with you. There's something wrong with your family lineage. And as a result of being born to those parents, you're somehow screwed, which is a complete lie. Stop believing that and start believing that you can overcome those genetic tendencies. That's what I would say to that person, because I used to be that person. And if I can overcome that, then you can for sure.
Yeah, and it just creates a victim mentality where something's permanent. And if you believe that it's permanent and there's nothing you can do, then why even try?
You got a customer for life is what you got in that other system. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And then it's like, well, I guess I got to be on these drugs forever because I have this genetic issue that I inherited from my family lineage, which, I don't know that my great grandparents really have anything to do with the choices I'm making today. I'm choosing to make these choices regardless. Okay, that's really good. So yeah, not a genetic thing. Let's don't blame. That's too convenient an answer. Doctors give it out all the time. They also blame your age, which is more bull crap. Going back to this too, a shameless plug, one of the simple things you can start doing if you're not already is begin to directly source your body with short chain triglycerides.
Yep.
Because that right there is automatically going to give you these key fats that you're probably not able to make or haven't made them in a long time because you do have a disrupted microbiome. You have been on tons of medications and acid reducers and proton pump inhibitors and years of antibiotics, or you've eaten lots of toxic processed food. You can start taking this directly. It's very easily absorbed. So if you're that person that's got a congested liver, they've removed your gallbladder, dear God, they've already ripped that out of your body. You're struggling to emulsify and break down fats. This could be a game changer too. Plus, we already know if you've got gut issues, you've got inflammation issues, one of the key fatty acids in our SCT oil, our short chain triglyceride oil, is called, you know this, myristic acid, myristic. I can't even say, is it myristic acid?
Myristic, yes.
CMO is the abbreviation. Yes. I can't pronounce it. Cetyl myristic acid. I think that's how you say it, but CMO. Anyway, this fatty acid, it's very similar to an omega-3 fatty acid called DHA, yet you're not having to dose your body with PUFA because PUFA in the short term might make you feel better from the omega-3 because it's competing for the sites that linoleic acid are competing for, which is the omega-6, which we know is big time problems metabolically. But this acid actually has a stronger and longer half-life than the fish oil without all the oxidative stress, and it's directly in our product. So you can reduce joint inflammation very, very quickly. When you add this in, you start eliminating those toxic fats. Of course, we're not big believers in fish oil. Avoid PUFA at all costs. Fish oil is very, very reactive to oxygen, heat, and light. As soon as it goes in your body, it's rendering some pretty big havoc. So don't be fooled by the fish oil marketers. I wouldn't put that crap in my body. In fact, I used to dose so much of it before I ended up with the skin cancer, years ago. I think that was a direct correlation with all that PUFA.
Yeah, I think another thing that you could do is stop snacking. And just from a physical standpoint, think about it. These people that are snacking all day long, how much energy that they're causing this already destroyed gut
Yep.
to now have to expend to try to digest this food when your gut is just saying, dude, stop. I'm trying to heal. And so when you continue to keep on overloading it now with having to work overtime, it's never going to heal. It'd be like trying to heal a bad sprained ankle, but you continue to keep on running on it. It's not going to heal.
It's not going to heal, right?
So that's something else that you can do as well. You've heard us talk about that before in the past.
And that's easy. It's just SCT oil tastes amazing. You can cook with it. You can put it in your coffee. If you're a bone broth person, which I am, I love bone broth. Great for the gut, by the way. If you want to improve the nutritional profile of bone broth, add in our trace mineral salts and add in these short chain fats. It's nourishing, it's hearty, it's delicious, it's very easily absorbed. You're going to get more of those nutrients into your gut and into your body. So that's another way to do it as well. What's your favorite way to do it? I may have listed all the favorite ones.
My favorite way for SCT oil?
Yeah.
My favorite thing for SCT oil is to cook my steaks. And I don't know if you said that, but just cooking with it is one of those things. But I love the way it tastes with steak.
Yeah, I'll be
Something
honest
about
too. Yeah, it's great on the steak, and I love it. 1-to-1 ratio, 1 tablespoon SCT oil, 1 tablespoon raw honey. Oh my heavens! If you ever want to have dessert, that right there is perfect. Right after dinner, hit the SCT oil, or even before dinner, to already get that body triggering those leptin signals to the brain. So you're going to get that satiety, activate that GLP-1 pathway in your small intestine to tell you that you're full. So you're not overeating all this nasty food. Eat real food, eat healthy fats, obviously stop snacking. And then also too, I would say is continue to look at your body or know that your body is the greatest doctor. And that if it is the greatest doctor, and it is, then you've got to give it the things that it needs to perform at its best. So when you're eating, whatever you're doing, whatever your health strategy is, think about it from an inside out process of going, you know what? I don't need more healing. I really need to control the amount of interference that I'm providing to my body. You've already been healed. God didn't leave anything out. Greater is he that's in you. Maybe just pray for wisdom on how to stop interfering with that process. And this is what we're here to help educate you guys on, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I'd say something that's really simple, and we all know it, and a lot of people are guilty of not doing this, but it's getting adequate amounts of rest and sleep. That's a huge one, because remember that your gut, as you're sleeping, is healing. It's repairing. So you also don't want to go to sleep right after you eat, which is why we talk about, hey, walking
Go
after,
for a walk,
go for a walk, walking after meals. Almost got struck by lightning doing that last night. But yeah, absolutely. It's kind of scary. But more people are actually getting struck by lightning by not doing the right things. And what I mean by that is just figuratively speaking, you're really just creating this thunderstorm of sickness and what we call dyshyphoneas inside the body, which is the exact opposite of homeostasis. So stop doing those things. Rest, sleep. Obviously, first thing in the morning, gratitude. You always hear me talk about gratitude practices, meditation. Meditation is a great thing in order to be able to slow down what's happening inside your stomach. The more stressed you are and the more you're thinking about all these things, the more you're actually taxing that gut, just because of that brain gut axis.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, there you go. So,
I was going to say too, thank you guys too. A lot of you came in, went to the Apple Podcasts area, gave us a review.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep, Sharon Thunder, thank you. Seemed like you got your SCT oil. We appreciate you. If you did write us a review, send us an email. Let us know who you are, because sometimes we don't know what the username is or who that is. So give us your name. Let us know. If you did not do that, please go do that. It really helps us with the algorithm, getting out this content, making sure that more people are hearing the truth about health and healing. You guys are a big part of making that happen. So any reviews you can give us, write it. Don't take long. Just take a minute or two, do that. I think the way you do that, you have to go to the Apple Podcast to be able to do that. But anyway, if you've already done it, thank you. If we don't know who you are, send us an email so we can get your name. You may have a gift coming your way. You never know what we're up to.
Yeah. And if you're listening for the first time because somebody shared this with you, like the show. And so it's just as simple as that. So just like the show. Thank you so much for listening today. We appreciate you. We'll be back again next week. And that way you can understand even when the podcasts come out. So episodes are dropped on Fridays and Tuesday mornings. And so our Friday mornings and Tuesday mornings, so you want to get those. We're doing 2 episodes a week. If you have questions, and I know that you do have questions, you can submit your questions to us through social media on Instagram at the H2 Life. We'll take a look at those and make sure that we answer questions next week. We're going to do a Q&A because of all the questions that have been coming in. So be there for that. If you want your questions to be answered on air, get a shout out, make sure that you drop us a question. And with that being said, you guys have a happy, healthy rest of your week in totality.
Love you guys. Be blessed.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.